Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Frontline News. Today, we're diving into what might be the most devastating month Vladimir Putin has faced since the war began. From massive Ukrainian counterstrikes to deep cracks forming across Europe's political and economic ties with Russia, this month has turned into a full-blown nightmare for the Kremlin. Putin's image of control and strength is collapsing under the weight of military losses, economic strain, and international isolation. What's happening right now isn't just a bad week, it's a month of hell that could define the future of Russia itself. Over the past few weeks, Ukraine has launched some of its most aggressive and precise operations yet. Russian air defenses, already overstretched, have been pushed to their limits as Ukrainian drones and missiles hit deep inside Russian territory. Strikes on oil depots, ammunition warehouses, and command posts have left the Russian military scrambling to recover. Satellite images reveal burned-out facilities, destroyed supply lines, and chaos behind Russian lines. The Ukrainian military isn't just hitting back, it's strategically dismantling Russia's war machine piece by piece. At the same time, Russian losses on the front lines continue to climb. Reports indicate thousands of casualties, destroyed armored vehicles, and a growing number of soldiers refusing to fight. Morale among Russian troops is collapsing. Even pro-Kremlin bloggers have started voicing frustration and anger, something that used to be unthinkable. Putin's promise of a quick and victorious war has turned into a long, grinding disaster that no amount of propaganda can hide anymore. In the past month alone, Ukraine's long-range strikes have reached deeper than ever before. From Belgorod to Kursk, explosions have rocked Russian cities that once felt untouchable. These attacks have exposed the vulnerability of Russia's air defense systems and shown that Ukraine is becoming bolder, more capable, and increasingly unpredictable. Putin can no longer guarantee safety for his citizens, not even in cities hundreds of kilometers from the front lines. Meanwhile, Europe has stepped up its support like never before. New defense packages, advanced weapons, and long-term funding have been approved across the continent. The European Union has made it clear that it will not abandon Ukraine. Germany, France, Poland, and the Nordic countries have doubled down on their commitment to isolate Moscow economically and militarily. The pressure is mounting from every direction. Even countries that once hesitated to take a hard line on Russia are now turning away from Putin completely. Inside Russia, things are deteriorating fast. The economy, already under heavy sanctions, is beginning to buckle under new restrictions. The ruble is losing value again, inflation is surging, and essential goods are becoming harder to find. Factories that once produced vital military components are struggling to stay afloat due to a lack of imported materials. The Kremlin's attempts to shift production to domestic sources are failing miserably, exposing the deep technological dependence Russia has on the West. On the political front, Putin's allies are showing cracks. Governors, oligarchs, and key figures within the Russian elite are quietly questioning his decisions. Some are even trying to distance themselves from the war, worried that Putin's downfall could take them down as well. The once tightly controlled political machine is beginning to shake. Silence is being replaced with whispers of doubt and fear. Even within the FSB and the Defense Ministry, rumors of internal power struggles are growing louder. To make matters worse, Russian propaganda is losing its grip. For years, the Kremlin dominated the information space, flooding TV and social media with lies about denazification and liberation. But as body bags return home and as citizens see the destruction for themselves, the illusion is breaking. Independent Russian bloggers and exiled journalists are exposing the truth, reaching millions of people despite government censorship. The result, a growing realization inside Russia that this war is unwinnable and that the so-called special operation has turned into a national catastrophe. Putin's month of hell is not just about the military setbacks or economic troubles. It's about the crumbling illusion of power. For 2 decades, he built his image as the strongman who could restore Russia's greatness. But now, every failure in Ukraine chips away at that myth. Each Ukrainian advance exposes his weakness. Each European sanction shows how little leverage he really has left. The man who once dictated global energy prices now watches as Europe finds alternatives and weans itself off Russian gas entirely. Energy, which used to be Putin's ultimate weapon, has lost its bite. Europe's shift toward renewables and non-Russian suppliers has been astonishingly fast. Russia's oil exports are struggling due to price caps and logistical problems. Ships carrying Russian crude face delays, sanctions, and insurance bans. The petrodollars that once fueled Putin's war machine are drying up, and without that money, Russia's ability to sustain a prolonged conflict is rapidly fading. Ukraine, on the other hand, is showing no signs of slowing down. Its military has adapted faster than anyone expected. With Western technology, intelligence support, and a motivated population, Ukraine has turned into one of the most battle-hardened forces in Europe. Its soldiers are now using advanced drone warfare tactics, striking with precision and agility. They've transformed asymmetric warfare into a weapon that's making the Russian military look outdated and slow. This month has also seen growing unrest in regions of Russia itself. Protests have erupted over conscription, inflation, and the general state of despair. Families of fallen soldiers are demanding answers. People are tired of sending their sons to die for a war that makes no sense. Videos circulating online show mothers confronting military officials, calling out the government for lies and incompetence. The Kremlin's usual tactic of suppressing dissent through fear is no longer working as effectively as before. Internationally, Russia's influence is shrinking fast. Countries in Central Asia and the Caucasus, once firmly in Moscow's orbit, are drifting away. Armenia is openly criticizing Russian failures. Kazakhstan is strengthening ties with the West, and even long-time allies are keeping their distance. Putin's image as a regional power broker has been shattered. In Africa, where Russia tried to gain influence through the Wagner Group, instability and leadership disputes are undermining its operations. What was once seen as a growing sphere of influence is now crumbling under poor leadership and corruption. Even China, Putin's supposed partner, is showing signs of frustration. Beijing is benefiting from cheap Russian oil, but it has no intention of being dragged into Moscow's mess. Chinese officials are quietly urging restraint and signaling that they want stability, not endless war. The no-limits partnership Putin boasted about looks more like a one-sided deal that leaves Russia dependent and desperate. Meanwhile, Europe is not just united, it's evolving. The war has forced European nations to rearm, cooperate, and modernize faster than anyone thought possible. NATO's strength is at its highest since the Cold War. New members like Finland and Sweden have brought fresh strategic advantages, effectively surrounding Russia with a wall of allied defense. Every move Putin made to weaken NATO has done the exact opposite. His invasion has turned Europe into a fortress against Russian aggression. Inside the Kremlin, fear and paranoia are reaching new heights. Reports suggest that Putin is changing his security detail frequently, worried about betrayal. His public appearances are carefully staged, and his circle of trust has shrunk to a handful of loyalists. This isolation mirrors the downfall of many authoritarian rulers before him. He's trapped in an echo chamber, surrounded by people too afraid to tell him the truth. And the truth is simple: Russia is losing on every front. The psychological toll on Putin is becoming visible. His speeches are angrier, more erratic, and filled with desperation. He blames everyone, NATO, the West, Ukraine, for problems that stem from his own decisions. But this constant deflection only fuels more internal frustration. His generals are being replaced, his intelligence agencies are under suspicion, and his oligarchs are quietly moving their wealth abroad. The once untouchable leader now looks more vulnerable than ever. As winter approaches, things are only going to get worse for Russia. Energy revenues will drop, logistics will become more difficult, and Ukraine will continue pressing its advantage. The Kremlin hoped that time would wear Ukraine down, but instead it's wearing Russia down. Western unity hasn't broken, it's stronger than ever. Putin miscalculated everything: Ukraine's resilience, Europe's determination, and his own country's capacity to endure economic pain. This month has shown the world a simple truth: the myth of Russian invincibility is over. The combination of military defeats, economic collapse, and political isolation has pushed the Kremlin into survival mode. Every day, Putin fights not for victory in Ukraine, but for control at home. The walls are closing in, and the cracks are spreading faster than he can repair them. Ukraine's defiance has changed the course of history. What was once seen as a small nation standing up to a superpower has become a global symbol of resistance. Europe's unity has defied expectations, and Putin's regime, built on fear and manipulation, is starting to crumble under its own lies. The month of hell for Russia might just be the beginning of the end of Putin's era. If things continue this way, the coming months could bring even greater upheaval. The possibility of political fractures, regional revolts, or even a challenge from within the Kremlin can no longer be dismissed. Every failed offensive, every sanctions hit, and every drone strike adds pressure to a system already stretched beyond its limits. Russia is burning through its reserves, military, economic, and psychological, and there's no clear path to recovery. For Ukraine and Europe, this is a moment of strategic opportunity. They've proven that unity, resilience, and determination can stand up to tyranny. Every kilometer reclaimed, every system repaired, and every alliance strengthened moves them closer to a future without Russian aggression. But for Putin, this is a month he'll never forget, a relentless series of blows that have shaken his empire to its core. The Kremlin can still pretend it's in control, but reality tells a different story. Russia's military is bleeding, its economy is shrinking, and its global reputation is in ruins. Putin's grip on power may hold for now, but it's weaker than it's ever been. History has a way of catching up with those who try to defy it, and Putin's month of hell might just mark the start of his reckoning. And that's where we stand today: a Russia unraveling, a Ukraine rising, and a Europe united in ways no one expected. The world is watching closely, and every sign points to one inevitable conclusion: Putin's time is running out. Thank you for watching, and if you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on global issues and geopolitical developments.